the time. And today I'm finally going to get that mixed greens video, a more updated one from the one I did last year, going. So let's get to it and I'll show you what I have. Okay, so I've got a big bowl here and I think this will be big enough for what I'm doing. And then in these jars are all the different greens that I've dehydrated up this year and then a few from last year. So every year this changes because I never know. Some greens I'll get more of some years and some, more another year. And this year I ended up with a lot of nettle, and then I also ended up with dehydrating. I always get lots of grape leaves, but I don't dehydrate all of them up, but I did a lot more this year to go in this than I did the year before. So 2 quart jars of grape leaves, 2 quart jars of nettle, and that's not all in the nettle. I think I have another one. No, I do have a pint-sized jar, but I'm going to be saving the pint-sized jar for using in making tinctures, medicinal tinctures and all that. I also have a jar of plantain that's not even full, and it's the only jar I did this year. And I had a lot more growing in the garden than this. I just did not remember to keep up on it. But that'll be going in here. I also have quite a bit of dandelion leaves. Well, I have 2 pint-sized jars. I was thinking I had more than this, but it's just another thing that I didn't think to collect as much of. I have a jar of borage, which I could have done more of these, but I just didn't. I have a little bit of nasturtium leaves. I still have a bunch from last year, but I'm saving those for tinctures. But the nasturtium leaves, it wasn't a problem of me remembering. It's that for whatever reason, for the first time this year, my nasturtiums started out great, like they did the year before, but then they just all kind of shriveled up early this year. Like, it was odd. I've never seen them do that before. So I didn't get as many nasturtium leaves as I have the year before, but I've never added these to my mixed greens before, so this will still be a new thing. Another thing is strawberry leaves, and this is about normal. I usually don't collect a whole lot of strawberry leaves. And let's see, I already mentioned the borage. I'm putting that in. And then something new I'm going to add is some marshmallow leaves. I've been getting tons and tons of marshmallow leaves and flowers dehydrated up. This jar is actually from 2016. Some of the other marshmallow leaves I dried up I'm going to keep just plain like I have in a jar over there right behind the tomatillos and green tomatoes. That's just if I just want marshmallow leaf and flower tea. But I'm also going to be putting some in my mixed tea blend, and I'll be getting to that in another video down the road. So I'm just going to put 1 pint-sized jar. I also like to keep some of these jars separate just for using in soaps and other various things. And then in this jar is just a blend of all the rest of the greens that I didn't feel like putting into separate jars, but I wrote it down so I wouldn't totally forget. And in here I have amaranth leaves, radicchio leaves, kale, beet greens, and rutabaga leaves, and maybe a couple of other little things. What got me started on this is I usually have an overabundance of kale and radicchio. So if this had been any other year, I would probably have 3 or 4 quart-sized jars of just those alone, but just didn't get as much. I just assumed it would all self-seed and like it's always done, and I'd end up with so much I was pulling it up out of the garden. Well, not this year. It was very odd. So there's a bunch out there that I did just leave alone so it could go to seed. So hopefully next year I'll get a great bunch of it. Besides, the chickens really like that kale. So anyway, so what I'm doing is I'm going to open up each jar. Most of these jars I had already vacuum sealed. Well, not this one because it wasn't quite full. And then I'm going to be pouring each jar in here. So since this is a lot, I think I'm going to save, I wish I would have saved out that other quart jar of nettle too, but that's all right. I think what I might save this for is either using in teas or even making some medicinal tinctures out of this, because this is a lot right here. This is well more than enough to get us through the next year. And let me start jarring these up, and then I'll tell you what it is I do with these mixed greens. So it's really all started, like I said, is that I was getting so much kale and radicchio, and I hated to just see it go to waste, and so I started dehydrating it up, not knowing what to do with it, but figured I'd dehydrate it up anyway. And what I found occurred to me is that it works really great to use in adding to soups, casseroles, sauces. It's just a way that you can get more greens into your diet and also hide in those things that that maybe like you or your family might not like the flavor of as well. So, you know, a lot of people don't like kale. I like kale, but you can get once it's dehydrated, you know, the flavor is going to be a lot more mild anyway. And so, and then just putting it in there all, you know, I just kind of mash it up like that. It's small and it's barely noticeable, and unless you get a whole bunch in there, you're not going to notice a taste difference in your food. So just another really great way to get those wonderful greens into your diet. You could also add these to some smoothies if you wanted to. I've never actually tried that. I don't typically do the smoothie thing except for the fermented smoothies that I just recently started making. But mostly I go through a lot of this through the year because it goes into just about every dinner that I make, even my gravies. And it also makes it's also a good way to thicken up gravies and stuff like that, soups and things, if you want them to be more of a stew, because it's dehydrated. It's going to help soak up some of that excess liquid. So then what you want to do is just use a dry cloth just to get any of the loose pieces off the rim. And then I'm just going to reuse these lids, and then I'll remark them. So I put my lid on there, my food saver top. This is all wide mouth, but you can do this with a regular mouth too. You just get if you get the set, and I'll link to the set of 2 where it has the regular and the wide mouth. I vacuum seal in both sizes. And I find using the brake bleeder works much better than the food saver. I have more success with this, and it's just a non-electric way to do it, as you will have seen in many of my other videos. And I just pump this up to 15, maybe a little bit past. Take this off, and now my jar is sealed. Okay, and then just to play it safe, I go ahead and put a band on it. And I put it on tight because this is not a pressure can or water bath can thing, so this is totally safe to do it this way. And then take my little bottle of rubbing alcohol that I keep for stuff like this. I usually spray it on there and let it sit for a minute, rub it around with my finger, and then just wipe it off. And now it's ready for me to mark on it Mixed Greens Blend or Mixed Greens 2017. So that's what I'm going to do with each one of these jars. And there you go. It's that easy. So whatever greens that you maybe you're still getting in from your garden, or if you've been watching my previous videos of me saving up this stuff, that is what I do. And again, be watching for more videos in the future, or go back and watch some of my other cooking videos, and you'll see me using these quite a bit. Really good for you, and a great way to use up all those excess greens coming out of the garden and to get more nutrients into your diet. Hope you enjoyed this video and that you learned something new. Thanks for watching. Take care and God bless.